Sathi graduates were making 45-50,000 back in the time, and I was making 7,000. But in a year, my per day was there per month, wherein a general and his team engaged me to deliver a curriculum on disaster. And I tell them it's going to be such a disaster.
So what is your thought process before you go to stage?
But when I'm invited as a speaker, it's like a shebang, set up, and there's a stage I'm walking into. Many a times blind, I don't know the people.
They might pass comments, they might be hooting. Did you face any such bad experience?
को बता रहा हूँ तो वो triggered, and there comes a shoe, and there comes.
Shit.
But there was this one event, and I went there, and it was like a mehndi set. Youth events जब बहुत चल पड़े थे कराची में, तो कुछ बहुत ही आउट हो गए थे. लाइक इट वाज, मैं गया तो सारी लड़कियां तैयार, सारे बॉयज तैयार, ऐसे जैसे वाकई मेहंदी का माहौल. और वो मुझे कह रहे हैं कि मेरी एंट्री होगी और बॉडीगार्ड्स हैं बंदूकें लेके, और उनके साथ आप स्टेज पे जाएंगे. उन्होंने मुझे कहा, आंधी आए तूफान है, कोई तुम्हारी बात ना सुने, बट यू आर गोना डू द जॉब दैट यू आर देयर फॉर. दैट्स योर पार्ट ऑफ द टीम. Whether they listen or not, that we would leave that to God. Connect. ये जो शुरू हो जाते हैं और खा भी गए थे, दुनिया भी फतह कर ली थी, 50 लाख लोग भी हो गए आपके सोशल मीडिया पे, और किसी एक को पता नहीं है कि आप क्या कराते हैं और कहाँ कराते हैं, तो कहाँ कराते हैं. और मुझे ये बड़ा एडवांटेज मिला कि मैं बाबू के साथ भी, सीनियर्स के साथ भी, जवानों के साथ भी, were best in the time, and the youngest who were like budding, and then they turned out to be like, acts to follow.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मैं कैसे हैं आप?
Very well, वालेकुम अस्सलाम.
Thank you. सबसे पहले thank you so much for being here. I have been chasing you since past 2-3 months as far as I remember, and I hope you're not irritated. But since आपने आज time दिया है, so I'm really glad that you're here, and we'll be discussing a lot of things from your journey.
Yeah, let's get going, and thank you for being so persistent.
I will be. जब वो तो अगर आप नहीं आते तो मैं अगले 2 महीने और 3-4 महीने तो पीछा करती रहती.
No, you are hustling and continue doing that.
Do you know that, like, how would you know? But I would just want to tell you that when I actually, left my university, so मैंने सबसे पहली organization अगर कहीं apply किया था, that was Torque. Because I was so, trainings या OD ऐसी चीज़ें मुझे बड़ा excite करती हैं. And I have always appreciated your work and the work Torque is doing. And I tried, although कोई vacancy नहीं थी वहाँ पर, और जैसे यार चलो करते हैं, थोड़ा सा delusional होकर, किसी ने पढ़ी भी नहीं वो. Actually, I got a response a month later on Instagram, by the way. So somebody was like, "No, the CV is not relevant to what the vacancies we are having right now." Chalo, koi baat nahi.
I don't know these stories.
And I never knew that I'll be interviewing founder of Torque somewhere after
you're
2
very
to 3
kind.
years.
Thank you. It's just I was young. I started out, and it was quite a sensation back in the time. Training and young trainers, and it was quite a.
It is still now.
Yeah, I mean, but I think now it's translated. Social media has covered a lot of content. You see, we're moving. But yeah, I was just in the right time, and we got a whole lot of good trainers together, and I had a great start.
And I really wanted to know since always that how you enter into this training field, is occupation mein, because to become a trainer you have to first train yourself. It's not like कि अच्छा एक apply किया कहीं पर और काम हो गया, trainer की job लगे, ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं होता. So the journey is different. Also the occupation is unconventional as far as I have seen. I don't know how people make money initially from this profession. So start from your journey. Just paint us a picture of your journey. Starting from IBA.
I would like you to think of a child who's somebody who has problem with the status quo. That's my story, and training happens to be something that helps me achieve what I want to achieve, which is to change perceptions, which is to change the ideas that we have been living on. And the starting point is my own family, my khandan, Memon tribe, conservatives, so many ideas, over religiosity, and the lack of trust in the system, and the same, the story of this country has not changed. And so I want to do something that would make this country better, and what better than educating people. And I was somebody who was a reader. So when you're somebody, you can, that's all you know. It's like, somebody with a hammer, and the only solution is to bang. So for me, the only solution was to spell it out, what I was reading. And I started doing that through a Yahoo group. I remember it became very popular. It was called iMinds, by the way. Okay. iPhone wasn't there back then, but it had 5,000 members, and I used to write to them every week. Sort of designing something like people do on Canva back in time, on CorelDRAW. So I can track back this Umair, who was trying to push ideas forward, who was trying to question. And when it came to a career move, it was so simple because by the time I graduated, I was already doing this. And the magic piece in that was School of Leadership, an organization which was for the young, by the young, of the young.
बट बिफोर यू ज्वाइन स्कूल ऑफ लीडरशिप पढ़ना एक अलग चीज़ है कम्युनिकेट करना यू नो बिल्डिंग दोज कम्युनिकेशन स्किल द बॉडी लैंग्वेज द कॉन्फिडेंस द ऑरा व्हेन यू आर ऑन स्टेज यू नो दैट्स डिफरेंट आप पढ़ना और बोलना इज अ डिफरेंट थिंग बट यू नो जस्ट कन्विंसिंग पीपल एंड यू नो ट्रेनिंग पीपल हाउ डिड यू बिल्ड दोज
कुछ अच्छे होते हैं बोलने में जिस तरह कुछ अच्छे होते हैं गाने में लेकिन मैंने बहुत मुकाबलों में हिस्सा लिया मैनी ड्रामाज आई वाज you know, I did my matriculation from Hyderabad, St. Bonaventure's. It was a missionary school, so lots of extracurricular activities. Achha. And we used to debate, bedbazi, performance. So there was this stage thing, and I was a success at that. My intermediate time is off time. Like उसमें मैंने ना पढ़ाई पे तवज्जो दी और ना इस तरह की किसी उसमें. But I happened to go to Young Leaders Conference. And this is the time that I see the best trainers on stage, speakers, politicians, entrepreneurs, and change makers. And you know, I never felt disconnected with the world and what was possible. We were being trained कि हम नौकरियां करेंगे. We were being trained कि अच्छी ज़िंदगी बनानी है. Or we were being trained कि जन्नत बनाएंगे. And here was the world of Millennium Development Goals. Here was the world of globalization. You know, that's what was happening back in 2004. And there was one conference which was bringing it on the platter for young people to see, hey, this is your leadership canvas. And not just me, but the 299 others, 300 every year we had, and then I became part of the organization. There was no stopping. And I can't tell you that just, you know, getting young people to be exposed to these ideas, just like I was back in the time, and I was able to find my place in a very unconventional path with the confidence which is like unprecedented in our, you know, they were like बाबे ट्रेनर्स होते थे ना सफ़ेद बाल कराए हुए ठप्पे लगवाए हुए तो उनकी क्रेडिबिलिटी और यहाँ पे जवानों की फोर्स है तुम स्टडी करो इंडस्ट्री और तुम डिसरप्शन देखो उसकी विदाउट और कॉल एज वेल एन incubator the school of leadership so I was part of that and then I became a runner of that you know over the years.
So you were like already trained or you didn't have to build those skills deliberately आपको उस पे काम नहीं करना पड़ा उस तरह से.
Yeah, I'll tell you how it starts for a trainer, you know. So I think there is something that you can deliver. If we put you on the stage right now, तुम घंटा अपनी ज़िंदगी पे रिफ्लेक्ट करके जो तुम्हें इतनी बातें बताई तुम नहीं कर सकती. अगर तुम ये कहती हो तो मैं तुमसे लड़ाई करके आई कैन ब्रिंग यू टू दैट कि ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन. सो एवरीबडी कैन. आई थिंक ऑल ऑफ अस experience life in different ways, feel life in different ways, and I think the treasure is not with one of us. So एक तो ये बात होगी कि आपके पास स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट तो होता है.
सही है.
दूसरा कुछ चीज़ें होती हैं जिनमें आप अच्छे होते हैं. मैं बोलने में अच्छा था, राइट. तो मेरा पहला कोर्स भी कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स बनता है, राइट. मैं जिम्मेदारी लेना चाहता था कि नौजवान एक्टिव हों सियासी तौर पे अपनी कम्युनिटी में. सिर्फ पढ़ना है यार, काम करो, वॉलंटियर करो. So I could deliver on that. So those become your initial courses, you know, what you're learning. And as you start experiencing more, it automatically, you know, comes into your belt. So for example, when my team grew, I could do team building. I could see the team problems in a young, you know, laboratory. आपका lab बन गया और उस पे तजुर्बात हो रहे हैं और उस पे से ideas सीख के फिर बहुत ज़्यादा trainers को जो है वो एक तो ये कि what are you inclined towards, what's your strength that you know tells you a lot about what you should be delivering, and then you have to work towards it. Like you said that, you know, knowing something shallow, knowing something deep, and the difference also is seeing it happen on ground. So, you know, I'll tell you what I did as Stork. Early days, there was an assignment from Cadbury.
Okay.
It was a Cadbury sales assignment. And मैंने तो नहीं की थी कभी सेल्स, ना सेल्स ट्रेनिंग की थी, लेकिन मैं they wanted me to deliver it. कि आप बड़ा अच्छा डिलीवर करते हैं. मैंने कहा आप मुझे बताएं भी कि मैं सेल्स वालों का क्या. तो उन्होंने मुझे बहुत समझाने की कोशिश की. बट यू नो सेल्स हैज़ अ सर्टेन लिंगो, हैज़ अ सर्टेन KPIs and this that. और सेल्स वाले बड़ा उसके बारे में प्रोटेक्टिव भी होते हैं. अच्छा आप तो नहीं जानते ना सेल्स. So I asked them to give me an opportunity to go out in the field with their sales force.
Okay.
I did that 2 days.
Okay.
I could train them. Can't you do that? In Pakistan, we are violators of such simple things, from personal space to etiquette to grooming to how. Those are the soft skills packs.
But I think it
And
starts from self-discovery because you knew your strengths and weaknesses.
yeah,
कहना अगर हम कहेंगे a lot of people can do that, but a lot of people are not self-aware. A lot of times,
yeah,
you know. So even let's say your speeches help them to do that. And पहले stage ही वही है. Once you're self-aware, if I know what my strengths are, what I'm good at, and what I really want, and then I'll be able to deliver.
yes,
So you already passed those initial stages. And
yeah.
also
इन सेल्फ अवेयरनेस कांस्टेंट प्रोसेस है ना, मुसलसल चलता रहेगा और वो खुद शनासी खुदा शनासी है ना, तो उसकी हद तो कोई नहीं है और ज़िंदगी है तुम्हारे पास। लेकिन जिस स्टेज पे आप हों, आई थिंक यंग पीपल डाउट देमसेल्व्स अ होल लॉट. I see like 24-year-olds sitting in the best of the universities in this country, and you ask them, all right, how can they be so blank? And I refuse to believe that they are not aware. I am all that they don't have the confidence in themselves. They have never been spoken to in a way, they've never been asked many a times. I think that's the catch. And you will see it when you get a group together in a safe space. In a bit of half hour, an hour, that group is talking, automatically aware. So how does that happen?
ये भी है.
So yeah, I'd say yes, I was aware, and like I said earlier, क्योंकि मैं पढ़ता था, मैंने 7 हैबिट्स
Of highly
वाकई
effective
मैंने
people.
टीनेज में पढ़ी है और टीनेज वाली पढ़ी है.
अच्छा.
And that was one of the first programs that I delivered in rural audiences. And so, and Anthony Robbins I read as a teenager. Stephen Covey, Sean Covey, Anthony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Dr. Wayne Dyer as a teenager. So when I would meet people,
You already had all that content,
Yeah.
I would ask that as well. कि फिर once you're like delivering sessions, so how do you prepare yourself? But later, first of all, I want to ask, what is the drive exactly in terms of money? Like, were there good earnings? Because let's say, for example, if somebody wants to be a trainer today, and if they're good at communication, good with confidence and everything. Maybe they get the opportunity as well. How's the earnings? Because एक तो ये होता है आप काम कर रहे हैं किसी के लिए, आपने तो माशाल्लाह अपना खुद की ऑर्गेनाइजेशन स्टार्ट की, so initially there were challenges while learning, or you think there are a lot of opportunities for OD or training agency?
So my Sathi graduates were making 45-50,000 back in the time, and I was making 7,000.
Okay.
And that was a loan from Shiri, which later became 15, still a loan from her, that you're starting your own and you're going to give it back to me. Give it back to SOL. But in a year, my per day was there per month.
Wow.
And if you ask me, I would say that this is a very, very high paying job. Being a trainer, being able to engage audiences is one of the most challenging tasks. And especially the kind of genre that I do, which is like really, really playing with fire, and I like doing that. It's highly paid, very highly paid. But I've never been driven by money. I've always believed I'll get it. I'll always have what I need. I've always had what I needed, even the worst of the times. If I show you my statement right now, I'm broke, but I have what I need. So I believe in that, and I don't think that we should chase money this much as
But you
as
touched
much
that
as,
point after in a year or so.
Yeah.
And what was what were the kind of projects you
But
were
I was
doing?
hardworking. I was good at my game. I started early. I
And what kind of
always
projects
worked
you were
harder
doing?
than my. I always read more. I always designed better. I always
Gave more hours.
had
and
better stories. So I'm saying that you have to push in. और वो किसी भी काम में आपको करना पड़ता है ना बनने के लिए. अब अगर तुम मुझसे बात करो फाइनेंशियल्स, तो पाकिस्तान में तुम्हें 10,000 रुपये का भी ट्रेनर मिलता है पर डे, और पाकिस्तान में 1 मिलियन का भी ट्रेनर मिलता है पर डे. Right? That's the range. Market pays that. You know it, right? You're sitting in a company. So that's the range. Now, where you're placed in that is up to your talent, is up to your work, and not just work on your training, but also your work with the clients, being able to produce what the market needs, where the market is going.
So what kind of projects you were doing earlier, like for corporations?
Hmm.
You were doing for corporations
Yeah.
again?
HBL was my first.
Okay.
And it was
So this
amazing
can be
how
your
they,
first breakthrough.
yeah, and
Your
it
first
was
breakthrough.
it was exactly the work that I've done all these years, like most of it, values
हाँ.
cascade.
Values का.
And
Okay.
it was
हाँ.
management trainees and me. So it was a younger bunch, and so I was not in that difficult place. I encountered much more difficulty later when I became like somebody, and I was invited to places that I probably didn't deserve to be at.
अरे.
But I'm very fond of Levi's. It was early years, and why I'm fond of it because Levi's took me in and they gave me their global modules, and they said this is what happens, and we don't have anybody in Pakistan who can deliver on this. And I learned it, and I fell in love with retail, and I did so much retail work after that. Similar time, 2009, British Council. I did a program with them, Active Citizens. It was an opportunity in UK, so I got a master trainer thing.
Wow.
And I came back and I was delivering to communities like 5-day programs across Pakistan, and I did so many of them. On the note of money, by the way, I'd like to say that I have done a lot of pro bono. I'm one of the most prolific trainers in the country, and I do the most pro bonos. I'm the most highly paid as well and do the most pro bonos. Like someday I'm being paid hundreds of thousands of rupees, and the other day I'm standing somewhere and I've traveled at my own expense standing there for free. And for me, the two are not different. And I would like to say this to people watching that please don't make money, don't chase money, let money chase you. Be greater than that. And I've been rewarded in ways that very few trainers I've seen been rewarded. The people I've touched in communities on campuses, they turned out to be managers. They turned out to be decision makers, and they knew me not as a company reaching out ke talk, अच्छा training करा लें. They knew me as Umair who came to their campus and told them that they could.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
amazing.
didn't think about it. I never looked at it like that. But I really with my clients as well. They have taught me so much more because I didn't have that experience, right? So clients taking me in because they believed in my communication ability. The most recent one, similar example, is of NDMA, wherein a general and his team engaged me to deliver a curriculum on disaster.
Okay.
And I tell them it's going to be such a disaster. And
Yeah.
then they teach me. They get an
Okay.
organization, other organization, which is just engaged
Huh.
so that I'm technically sound. But what I offer, the energy and the way it needs to be rolled out. So
So
I think you've
even if
got to
you're like
be.
technically weak on any subject, doesn't matter. You just get train yourself on that, right?
I tell the client many times I'm not engaged for the technical part, and technical is easy. Technical is so easy. It's made a big deal of in this country, but technical people driving, running machinery, how hard is it? You learn it once you're done. The real challenge is attitude. The real challenge is getting up when the world is putting you down. The real challenge is being compassionate when somebody is being rude. And those are the things that we work on, which is culturing in an organization, is giving a value code, helping people recognize their own values, and rising every day. So
That's
yeah,
very difficult, by the way.
very difficult. Yeah,
You
that's
need to, I think, convince yourself first,
yeah.
then convince others.
And because my intention was never to become a big trainer, और बहुत सारे लोग आते हैं सबसे बड़ा ट्रेनर बन जाऊँ. मैं तो मुल्क को बेहतर बनाना चाहता हूँ. मैं तो कम्युनिटीज़ की थिंकिंग चेंज करना चाहता हूँ. मैं तो जवानों के that's where my heart lies. So I look at this work differently, and it's just been a byproduct. What has happened, that I've had so many labels,
This is
but
just
they've
so
all been
amazing.
given by the markets in most cases.
Because you were actually having a very good intention. That is the reason the byproduct is so good.
Yeah.
Also,
And
I
I'm
want to.
also lucky I was placed in, with teachers who were great, fantastic. It's very hard to find. जो पुराने दौर में
IBM?
सफ़र करके ले जाएं उस्तादों के लिए हमें
IBM?
वैसे मिल गए नहीं at School of Leadership. Shirin
अच्छा.
Naqvi I'm talking
Okay,
about.
okay.
I think she's legendary. And Kamran Rizvi. I think the two of them and what they've done to this industry quietly and just by It's like planting a seed and planting many good seeds and then believing in them, and they've become
So
gardens now.
what is your like thought process before you like enter the stage or whatever the place is you're training basically? What is the process? Because you know आप किताबें पढ़ते हैं, you already know the content. Not sure if you like train yourself before going on stage या अपने लिए कुछ लिखते भी हैं. I really like few quotes of yours. मैं भी videos देख रही थी तो मैंने लिखी, मैंने बोला पूछूंगी ये मतलब do you like plan or write it down या फिर वो spontaneously निकलता है? So what is your thought process before you go to stage? I mean, training, preparation,
Yeah.
pressure, anything.
Yeah. So I have a map, and I navigate through the map in a very in the moment way, very improvised sometimes.
Okay.
And I have methods, and I have lots of things on my Mac, and it is a chef in action. Many a times, not with a set recipe. Because let me tell you what we get from HR and the learning need analysis, which is basically just a form, and just many a times you realize in the group that hey, this is not before we do this we've got to, and I think that's not just me, that's many other trainers, but I think I'm far more open in my improvisation and my ability to take risks in the moment. So yeah, I have a scheme, I have the key ideas. If it's a workshop, of course it has materials, it has thought, it's been researched, agreed with the client. Sometimes the materials come from them, sometimes we create, sometimes it's collaborative, sometimes there's no material. It's just leaders together. We've got to facilitate them into something, right?
Okay.
So I have been a speaker. The prep for that, I'll tell you, been a trainer, the prep for that is different. The facilitation role is different, right? Facilitation for me has been the easiest. I don't sweat at all. Because my job is to manage the group, get the ideas out, run the process.
ठीक है.
And I'm very good with groups. I don't mind being, doing whatever to get the group feel good and get them to understand, yeah, this is important. We've got to do this, right? And that our negativity and our pushing it down will not help. So that's what I'm looking at doing, and I put myself into that state.
Okay.
I look at the hall, I look at every person, try meeting them before we start. There's no protocol ke trainer aaye.
अच्छा ठीक है ठीक है.
Same goes for workshops.
Okay.
But when I'm invited as a speaker, it's like a shebang, set up, and there's a stage I'm walking into. Many a times blind, I don't know the people, and they tell me they're young people, but young people are all kinds, right? They're very little. और उसमें जो है फिर आपको I use more of storytelling, because stories are able to engage wider audiences. I become generic. I don't go very specific because I want to make sure that everybody is getting something from it.
So were there any bad experiences? Just this question popped up in my mind, like because when you're on stage, there is hooting, there are different comments. You know, though you're a very popular, very good trainer and speaker, but still there are like hundreds of people with different mindsets, with different upbringing, I would say, and you don't know, they might pass comments, they might be hooting. Did you face any such bad experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the game, and it's मैं तो बहुत मज़े करता हूँ अक्सर कोई
specific
आ जाए
याद हो
कमेंट
तो-
तो मैं जवाब में देता हूँ, लेकिन जो एक मैंने बहुत ही ज़्यादा ख़तरनाक कोई सिंध में सेशन था है ना, Sindhis when they generally refer to their culture, and Sindhis are very very long history, 4,000 years, and fascinating culture, language, and far better than other cultures that we have. लेकिन माजी होता है मुस्तकबिल, तो मैंने कुछ ऐसी बात की होगी और ऐसी की होगी ना, जैसे मैं अभी आपको बता रहा हूँ, तो वो इट ट्रिगर्ड, and there comes a shoe, and there comes, and there is one standing up and the other two, and he's saying in Sindhi, and he was very pissed off at what I had said. And I once went to Karachi University, and then I was barred from there because I was telling Khan's story in my program, and they thought I was a PTI supporter. And so, but it really didn't really come on to me. It was handled by the management while I was telling the story. I think in speaking work, you're at a greater risk. It's a bigger audience. It can go out of control because you yourself are in a state, like when I say that I play with fire, I'm letting myself say it.
So,
I'm
like-
not planning and saying it. Like, I'm inspired by myself. I mean, find myself, oh man, wow. It's like that
Self
Ahmad
obsession.
moment. No, no, it's Ahmad. जिस तरह
Okay.
पेंटिंग में होती है,
हाँ हाँ हाँ
राइटिंग में होती
हाँ
है,
हाँ
अरुंधति रॉय ने कहा ना, आई हैव टू राइट टू थिंक, आई एम अ स्पीकर, आई हैव टू स्पीक टू थिंक, एंड एज आई एम टॉकिंग टू यू राइट नाउ, आई एम
हाँ.
राइट,
Got it. Yeah.
so it's coming to me, and I
हाँ
let it
हाँ
through without resistance.
सही
So
बात.
sometimes it's dangerous. Sometimes it's more
So
candid,
when
and
when
it's
such thing happens और कोई
and
जूता
sometimes my
वगैरह आ
own
जाए.
transparency, plays a part, because I've had a dirty experience about something or a prejudice. You're humans at the end of the day.
So what you did when this juta thing happened?
Yeah, I
Somebody
was just
throwing
taken
shoe.
out, and I was.
You
I've
you
always,
don't continue such
you've always
sessions,
been
or
protected
you're
by
still
the.
continuing such sessions.
No, I mean, I'm saying that there's a risk, and because I'm, I'm a risk taker, so I end up in such situations. Um, but it's, I mean, this is rare, because जूता तो ये बहुत मेमोरेबल है मेरे लिए. लेकिन देखिए, रेजिस्टेंस जनरली बाद में आता है. मिसाल के तौर पे आपने, क्योंकि हम इतनी बात फेथ पे करते हैं और फेथ की वजह से फंसे हुए भी होते हैं, इन माई ओपिनियन मैनी अ टाइम, सो आई डू ट्रिगर दैट. And sometimes somebody stands up and says, लेकिन आपका क्या इल्म है और आपकी क्या तालीम है, kind of a comment comes in. और somebody would say कि ये तो हमें पहले से 1400 साल पहले से पता है, आप कोई बहुत ही मॉडर्न तहकीक बता रहे हैं और बंदा उड़ा देगा. ये तो हमें 1400 साल पहले से पता है, इसमें क्या नई बात है, आप टाइम वेस्ट करें.
Shit.
I went into a group and this guy says, so where is the trainer? Because I'm young, even. So I mean, it's part of the game, yeah. I've always, been on the side of kindness most of the times. Somebody is saying something, that's the best they know, and that's the point of us being there, right?
I have a
That is
question.
the
This
whole
is just
point.
so hard to be like kind all the time. I mean, how can you, train your mind to be kind all the time? Because there are people who are not kind with you, and you just are not a robot. You're a human being. You might feel bad about it.
Yeah.
I don't know, how do you convince people to be kind all the time, even if they're following this or not? Because if somebody is not, if somebody is rude to you, or doing some shit, then what will you do?
Makes you feel so happy.
Huh?
Makes you feel so happy.
How?
Somebody is rude and you're rude in return. It doesn't make you feel good, does it? It's settled. It's okay. It's an okay feeling.
But you're giving them a leverage to be
But
rude
somebody
another
is
time, na?
rude.
So फिर वो अगली दफा
Somebody
भी.
is rude. No, no. That's not what you're doing. You're not allowing somebody to rondofy you. You're not being a doormat. मैं किसी को अलाउ नहीं करता कि वो मेरी डिग्निटी का मजाक उड़ाए. किसी को अलाउ नहीं करता कि वो मेरी आज़ादी ले. वो ये कह सकता है कि मैंने जो बात की वो बेवकूफ़ाना है. वो कहता है, मैं कहता हूँ बिल्कुल आप दुरुस्त कह रहे होंगे, मुझे बताएं ये क्यों बेवकूफ़ाना है.
Okay.
अगर बात है तो उस पर बात होगी, राइट?
हाँ.
आई एम विलिंग टू से आई एम सॉरी, दिस इज नॉट व्हाट आई मेंट, दिस इज नॉट व्हाट आई मेंट, दिस इज नॉट व्हाट आई मेंट. आई एम गोना से इट थ्राइस. आई एम गोना से दिस इज व्हाट आई मेंट, यार. Please, everybody relax, breathe in. Are we okay here? I'd get that on. But I'm very sensitive to what's happening in my group. And if I see people are not with me, then I'm not in the game. I have to do something to bring them back.
Okay. Okay.
And I feel so happy to be on the higher ground wherever I can be. I have not always been, and I'm not proud of that. Wherever I've lost that ground, I feel so miserable. I feel so shitty of me.
Like, have you given up on some of the audiences where like you were training, or was there a case you felt like, no, I can't train them, It's not
I
an
went to
ideal
a,
case.
I went
हमेशा
to
तो
a, I
अच्छा
went
नहीं
to a
होता ना.
youth event. Corporate बहुत ज़्यादा होते हैं जिसमें आपको ये फीलिंग आती है कि यार क्या यार. क्योंकि थोड़े से वो उनको इतना मिल जाता है, हो जाता है.
Stubborn
They
हो
have
जाते
other
हैं.
things happening as well. They are in a certain age in life. Compared to young, young people are full of dreams, and wherever they see something can happen, they like walk towards it, right? But there was this one event, and I went there, and it was like a mehndi setting. Youth events जब बहुत चल पड़े थे कराची में, तो कुछ बहुत ही आउट हो गए थे. Like it was, मैं गया तो सारी लड़कियाँ तैयार, सारे बॉयज़ तैयार, ऐसे जैसे वाकई मेहंदी का माहौल, और उसका नाम भी कुछ ऐसे ही था, मस्त टाइप. एंड so it was music and things happening, and और उसके बीच में मेरा सेशन था.
ओहो.
अब इतनी एंटरटेनमेंट सेटिंग के अंदर ये वो है, व्हाट डू यू डू? और वो मुझे कह रहे हैं कि मेरी एंट्री होगी और बॉडी गार्ड्स हैं बंदूकें लेके और उनके साथ आप स्टेज पे जाएंगे एंड देन यू आर ऑन.
अच्छा.
So I called Shirina when I'm like, it was called Desi Tadka.
The show was called this.
Yeah, the event was called Desi Tadka. So I called Shirina and I said, this is where I am, and I don't think this is a place for me. And you know, there's some respect for our work, and it's like, what respect? Like, what are you there for? I got to deliver a session. I said, do it. And guys, it's not the setting. Kathy, do it regardless. It's your duty.
You just felt like people were so, celebrating something and they were
Yeah,
not
it was
being in a
such a
mood to-
festive musical thing that there was nobody interested in listening to a speech, and that too, somebody saying, "Yeah, leadership," and
हाँ.
तो शीरीन ने मेरा पर्सपेक्टिव चेंज कर दिया और उन्होंने मुझे कहा आंधी आए तूफान है कोई तुम्हारी बात ना सुने but you're going to do the job that you're there for. That's your part of the deal. Whether they listen or not, that leave that to God. And that's always been, that's always how we were trained, that we can only work hard, we can only put in the efforts. What happens is never in our control. Yeah.
How was the session then?
Very good. Like
Very
I
good?
have done, मैं इतना अमेज होता हूँ ना, अल्लाह का शुक्र है कि मैं ऐसी ऐसी जगहों पे ऐसे सेशंस और ऐसी एनर्जी बन जाती है that it's sometimes I wouldn't expect कि ये सेशन इतना बड़ा हो लेकिन it's a success. And that changed me, after that मैंने बहुत ऐसी जगहों पे like really musical settings, and I've been myself and I've done my bit, told stories that are not told
Maybe
on
you're
such
challenged more. You feel like ये शायद अच्छा ना हो तो मैं अब और I would put more energy in, more effort. तो वो challenging हो जाता है तो शायद अब ज़्यादा effort लगा रहे होते हैं.
Yeah, I think there's a thrill in overcoming. Like when I was younger, people say, you can't, corporate, Barclays, there was somebody, he said, and I said this so many times. I feel bad now.
You tell me you can't and
He
I'll
said,
and
he
I'll
said
make
Torque
it
is going to
happen.
shut down. What a sad thing to say to somebody who started a company. I mean, fast forward in today's time, that guy will be hanged by the startup community. Or at least Twitter hanged, but he says it's going to shut down. Barclays shut down.
And
And I
how
feel
did
the
you
pride
feel?
of that. I feel very good about that. Because I've really,
How
one
did
thing
you
that has
respond?
bothered me हमेशा is arrogance. और मैं भी बहुत बहुत आ जाता है मेरे काम में आ जाता है और मैं अपने आप को टेम डाउन करता हूँ और ऐसी हरकतें करता हूँ लाइक कि मैं तोड़ूँ उसको. बिकॉज बहुत आसान होता है ना, लाइक जब दुनिया मजमुआ नाच रहा होता है और you start living in a different world. It's almost the world of celebrities, right? Many a times they're so disconnected, and not as much probably in today's times, but so I'm bothered. I remember this teacher at IBA, and he was known, teachers who are known to be tough और जिनका भरम होता है कैंपस के ऊपर और आप हर स्टूडेंट को पता होता है आपने जलील होना.
हाँ.
क्यों? Why?
Because they're
Why
rude.
does any teacher, that to a teacher, how can a teacher have such a reputation, यार? And that to personal comments. मैं उनके कमरे में जाता हूँ, मेरी एब्सेंसेस ज़्यादा होगी, मैं कॉमिक्स का स्टूडेंट था, IBA पे एक कोर्स कर रहा था, मुझे नहीं पता था इवनिंग में, बहरहाल, get out. Now, I was not a student, I was a student who used to work at School of Leadership. Shoulders straight, and we're working, we're earning, and that's not professional. Because we were taught professionalism and that's how we used to raise sponsor. How can you be like that? And I am a guest on your campus. I'm not even a student here. So you may treat your students like that, but you don't have the right. That's going on in my mind. So I tell him, what did you say, sir? He says, get out. I'm here to talk to you. And I'm not going to leave without speaking to you about it. And he's probably never, I've said a lot of things to people that they've never heard probably from anyone. Like, किसी ने कभी कुछ नहीं कहा ना, रिगार्ड होगा और खानदानों में भी मैंने कह दिया. So, and he's very rude and very mean, and he still throws me out of the office. And I walk out and I tell him that ये फिरौनियत ज़्यादा अरसे चल नहीं सकती. Because such behavior cannot last. It doesn't matter where you are. If Umair is that, he's gonna fall. If you're that, you're gonna fall. I say that to him as a student. A few years down the line, I go to the campus, he's the same guy. everybody is scared of, and now the campus smokes to his face. He's down to that level. I'm not saying I'm great, but I learned one thing very early on, that you can break, you can never break a principle. You can only break yourself against a principle. And that's exactly what we leaders, trainers, all, we end up doing. Human beings do that. So anyway, very intense, but student life incidents have hurt me a lot. Therefore, a lot of my content was, very, when I teachers go, or campuses ke mahal go, and very, sort of in favor of
And this also
students.
requires a lot of courage when you talk to such people, whether you belong to a campus or not. Raising your voice is in itself a very
Yeah.
good talent, I would say.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't do that. So, on this note, I have another question, that is, what mistakes you did, if you remember any three mistakes you learned from.
Ah, I think when I look back now, I was in a youth setting, and we had very little sense of boundaries. And of what I have learned about gender now, I think we were in the wrong. Just, not, we didn't have the sense, we didn't have the language many a times. And so, my earlier sessions, I have said things that I don't stand by, and that's one thing that I can't take back now. But that's the best I knew in that time. And so, yeah, I think sensitivity is one of the things, and I'm learning, and I keep learning, and keep looking at the feedback. How do people respond to what I'm saying? Number two would be my financial mess, wherein I do believe that one should not chase money, but I've been, I, as an organization, I think I costed the organizations their sustainability in lieu of my dreams and what was possible. And all that I could have done many a time was, hey, we're going to do it next year. So it was a marathon. I was in a sprint. I wanted to retire at 30.
Oh.
And that was not good. The third one would be, when the shit hits the fan, and it did many a times, and there are unpleasant interactions, and a trainer can be very well rehearsed many a times, or in control on stage. It's a certain setting and there's a power dynamic. But in the organization, that's not how it is. And with other trainers, and so there are trainer fights, and there's business team and the trainer fights, and sometimes you are the boss and you have got to decide and somebody has got to go. And so I do think that मैं कान का कच्चा रहा, फैसले जल्दी एक साइड के सुन के, और कुछ लोगों को मैंने बहुत ज़्यादा सुना दी. And I think I've learned from that. It has.
Do you think that, like, most of the people who are on leadership positions, like, I've seen very few people who are not kaan ke kache.
Who not?
Kaan ke kache. Most of the times it happens. The
Yeah.
people who are on the power position or making decisions, eventually they become biased unintentionally, maybe.
That's what I now do in my trainings of organizations. में कल मुझे किसी ने पूछा कि भाई, what do you do if there's, boss is playing favorites and there's favoritism in the organization? मैंने कहा, you become a favorite. You become somebody who is loved and who is, voted for, and you give competition to the favorite, without reason favorite भी तो, मतलब मैं favorite था हमेशा.
जैसा देश
मेरी
वैसा
टीम
भेष.
ने मुझे हमेशा बैक किया, मुझे पिक किया. कोई अपॉर्चुनिटी आती है, यार उमेर जाएगा इस पे. इसने यूके अपॉर्चुनिटी, my team picked me. We had 4 other trainers. They said Umair will go because he deserves it and he'll come back and he'll be able to do a big thing and he'll go. So आप बन जाए. So I tell the organizations now कि अगर आपके इदारे में कान के कच्चे and leaders होते हैं many times, क्यों बाकी लोग जाते नहीं हैं? They are the ones making the wall. A leader who is listening to those XXXX, whatever you want to put there, is also going to listen to you. If you walk in, and if 4 of you walk in together and give that leader, a reality check, I don't think there's any leader which is not listening. But it's
That's
amazing what happens in human relationships. अच्छा वो सुनते नहीं हैं तो हम जाते भी नहीं हैं, तो वो बढ़ता चला गया, अब वो फासले.
So maybe that can be fault of, like, ourselves as well. Like, we're not communicating, we're not just putting our points out there on table, and then we are blaming the other party.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And so, I mean, it's everyone in the organization is putting a piece in the culture. And so, by not
People
doing
who are,
anything, it is.
people who are contributing and who are not contributing in the same way. Yeah.
और हिसाब
Or
लिया
not raising
जाएगा
voice.
आपसे कि आपको इस
खामोश
इदारे
रहने
ने
का भी।
तनख्वाह दी थी, ये इदारा गिर रहा था, आपको पता था और आप कुछ नहीं बोल रहे थे, आप इंतज़ार कर रहे थे। कैसे हो सकता है? Organizations are
खामोश रहना
people, so
भी।
many families are connected, and
Yeah,
so I do think that a little more ownership from people where bosses are being one-sided. I would, tell my ex-colleagues when I had the 70 and maybe I was close to the 5, the shisha party and the late evenings. हो जाता है आपका circuit. The remaining maybe could have said more. They could have questioned me
but
more.
I think there are some like negative energies, they because if they see you chilling out with the other people, and they might think that way, there is this negative energy कि यार ये तो इन्हीं के साथ रहते हैं, ये कहाँ सुनेंगे हमारी,
Yeah.
they just do not build that confidence कि शायद सुन ले।
या ये बात मैंने पहले तुम्हें जवाब में कहा कि हमारा सेंस ऑफ बाउंड्रीज नहीं था उस वक्त, तो हमारे दोस्त काम वाले we were like all blend in, and that was not a good idea. It was so
That's a good learning.
yeah, and I think I've learned for the life of me that work is work, and folks you do everything with are folks you do everything with. They're separate. So
Good.
yeah.
So while closing the interview, I would want you to throw some tips to the aspiring trainers and the people who are watching you. Any 3 key learnings from your journey that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, number one is to learn more, read more. I think trainers learn too little, keep repeating, including myself many a times. And I mean, I've seen trainers who don't read at all. They're just delivering because they received something or they've experienced something. And I think that's not justice to the job. You know, you don't become an athlete if you don't go to the gym. Athlete goes to the gym, a trainer goes to the library, goes to the whatever your library is. There are many learning ways today. Number two, connect. ये जो शुरू हो जाते हैं और छा भी गए तो दुनिया भी फतह कर ली तो 50 लाख लोग भी हो गए आपके सोशल मीडिया पे और किसी एक को पता नहीं है कि आप क्या कराते हैं और कहाँ कराते हैं, तो कहाँ कराते हैं आप?
Social media.
So ये जो एक बन गया है ना गेम के लोग अपना ब्रांड बिल्ड कर रहे हैं और फिर वो एक दिन please put yourself out there, connect with other trainers, and my recommendation would be connect with seasoned trainers, या seasoned नहीं बल्कि retired trainers जो गुजरे आपकी नेटवर्क में। और मुझे ये बड़ा एडवांटेज मिला कि मैं बाबू के साथ भी, सीनियर्स के साथ भी, जवानों के साथ भी were best in the time, and the youngest who were like budding, and then they turned out to be like, acts to follow. So I think that's tip number 2. Fraternity gives you a lot of strength. It helps you make sense. और अगर आप शुरू से होंगे ना तो आप competitive नहीं होंगे, फिर आप इस fraternity में खेलेंगे, which is a lot of it's a
Learning
different
from
way.
others' experiences.
Yeah. Third tip for trainers, I've struggled with trainers just being so limited in their approaches. I go to so many venues and the venue is one side and वो एक हॉल में लेके बैठे हुए हैं तो फंसा के रखा हुआ है ते चला रहे हैं बता रहे हैं ते माहौल इस्तेमाल करें, म्यूज़िक इस्तेमाल करें, वीडियोज़ अब फिर भी समझ आ गई हैं, वीडियोज़ इस्तेमाल अब तो SMDs मौजूद है। अब मैं एक्सपीरियंशियल प्रोग्राम्स बना रहा हूँ, लाइक बड़ी SMD पे पीछे आ रहा हूँ जो मैं कहानी सुना रहा हूँ। वी हैव टू
Activities करवाते हैं आप।
the attention spans and how people receive so much online, and make the training not just यार ये टूल किट है, ये the real challenge is कि मैं इसको इस्तेमाल क्यों नहीं कर रहा, मैं इसको कैसे करूँगा। ये जो अंदर फंसे हुए हैं लोग, आप उसको अगर एड्रेस नहीं करते तो आप बहुत सारी चीज़ें जानते हैं जो आप नहीं करती। I don't think training is doing a transformational job then. So my third tip would be to use an assortment of methods, not just rely on presentation speaking. There are a host of methods. Make your training immersive. Make it so memorable that, if that sticks, they will remember a lot other from training. I've had that success. वो एक line याद रह गई और पूरी बातें याद रह गई, कहानी याद रह गई. So I would recommend that.
I hope that people must be liking this video. If they liked it, please do subscribe. Let us know what kind of people you'd like to watch. And any last few words you'd like to say before we close it?
No, thank you for having me and wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.